Hello, this is Brett from IBM, and today I'm going to give you all a beginner's tutorial about Doors Next. Throughout this tutorial, we're going to cover a whole range of stuff that should give you a pretty good idea about how to use Doors Next Generation and what you can do with it. So to start off here, all I did is that I logged into Doors Next, and we're taking a look at something called a dashboard. And dashboards, they are a super common capability throughout the entire platform, from work management to test management to, of course, requirements management too. But the way I like to think about dashboards is that it's kind of like social media feeds, is that it's always up to date in real time. But the key thing about these kind of dashboards is that they can be customized. And what I mean by that is they can be either customized for you as an individual or for your team or for even like project pages. So right here, now this is just the most basic dashboard that you get kind of right out of the box after you create a project from scratch here. But if you navigate over to the top right hand corner, you'll see this add widget button. And clicking that will reveal a whole bunch of these things called widgets that you can add. And I'll explain widgets in just a second here. But a couple key things to note is that you have a search box in the top right hand corner where you can search for specific widgets. And you can also select widgets from other applications. And if you want to go into creating your own custom widgets, you can use Report Builder for that. But that will be covered in a future tutorial. So bouncing out of this, now what widgets actually are is that all these little boxes here, these are all widgets, and this is where the information actually gets displayed in real time. So one really critical thing here is that all of these links now they're blue. So whenever you see a blue link, something pretty nifty behind that is that it's a hyperlink. So what you can do is that you can click on it and you can be taken to where that artifact is. And we'll get into artifacts in just a second here. But essentially just note that, hey, something's blue, something's hyperlinked. If I click on it, I can be taken right directly into where it lives. Another cool thing is mousing over anything that is blue. That will kind of pull up this little window with inside of a window. It's called a rich hover. And what happens with that is you get a lot more information provided about it could be a change set, could be a requirement, really kind of whatever is blue and hyperlink. All you need to do is mouse over it and it gives you a bigger picture about it without having to click on it and kind of get off track. Some other useful stuff from this screen here is this question mark icon in the top right hand corner. Mousing over that, you'll see a button that says help contents, and when you click on that, you have a couple things to select here. What I like to do the most is go over to this help contents, and it'll take you right over to kind of the documentation. Documentation is pretty good to give you a good sense about how to kind of figure some stuff out and find some stuff. But I also have a bunch of videos on this channel that walk you through tutorials in pretty quick little bites. So backing out of this, now we are back to this dashboard here. A couple other key things is that you can essentially create dashboard tabs, and these are pretty much like browser tabs. So going over to the left hand side here, you see this little plus right there. Clicking that will allow you to add a new tab. If you click in here to edit, which I just like to double click, you can rename things. So I'll just do example 2. We'll come over to example 1 right here. And then we need to add some widgets into this. So if you just click on add widget, we can start adding a few. Now, it's not going to throw up anything nice here because I have no content inside of this, since this is just a project I created from scratch. Another pretty cool thing to do with widgets is that if you click and drag this top bar, you can actually move them around and organize your dashboard how you want it to. To delete widgets, all you need to do is mouse over it and you will find an X in the top right hand corner. So just clicking that will allow it to be deleted. And sometimes you will need to do some settings for widgets. So if you click on the button to the left of the X, you will get a whole drop down that appears here where you can make some changes to them. But after you make some changes to the dashboard, it is critical that you come over to the right hand corner and click on this big blue button that says save here. To switch dashboard tabs, all you need to do is go over here and you can click in a few of them. You just need to click on the name for the dashboard tab. Now, a couple other important things that we need to check out is this gear icon in the top right hand corner. Now, the options in this list will vary based upon your admin privileges. If you're an admin, you should have pretty much everything that is right here. If you're not an admin, you may not have everything right here. There's a couple important things from this menu, one of them being Manage Project Properties. Clicking into this will allow you to add a lot of customization, and I have a lot of tutorials on the channel regarding this. This is where you can more so add custom artifact types, attributes, data types, custom link types, templates. A whole bunch of customization is available right in here. Going back up to this top right hand corner, another important thing is manage this project area. Clicking into that will give you more so of this admin side of things. If a member does not have, say, correct permissions where they can see stuff, but they can't quite edit it, and you're not entirely sure why, it is most likely that they have not officially been added to the project right here, or they need their role to be updated. So definitely check that out if you're having some issues. To be able to update people, all you need to do is mouse over them and click on this button here and click on Edit Process Roles. Then again, just make sure that you're adding the right people in the right places, because you have the Members tab right here, and then you have the Admin tab right below it. If you want to connect up some other areas, you can do so with associations. So backing out of here, now we're going to go check out the main project. And to get to there, I could either click on here, but a really important thing to be able to navigate is this top left home menu button. Clicking on this will reveal a drop down. And let me just collapse a few things here. So starting off fresh, your kind of menu might look something like this. And all you need to do is click on the name of the product, and you'll have all the projects available to you that you can click on and kind of go into. Now, this is one of my demo environments, so I have quite a bit here. But today, we are going to go check out the YouTube tutorials project, and I just created this from scratch, so that is why there is not much into here. So now we need to add some stuff into this. And to do so, go up to the top left hand corner here and click on Artifacts. Artifacts, now that's going to be a super common name that you'll pretty much see throughout this entire tutorial here. And a way to think about an artifact is that it's a thing. And I know that sounds pretty vague here, but it'll just make sense when we start uploading some stuff, is that it could be an image, it could be a document, it could be text. I like to think of an artifact as something that is associated with the project itself. There really is so many different types of artifacts that you can create, and you can even create custom ones. So we're just going to call an artifact a thing for now. But to actually get these artifacts into the project, you need to navigate to this blue create button right here, and you can either select some pre-built stuff, or we can click on import artifact or upload artifact. And I'll touch upon that in just a second here. First, I want to touch about organization. Now, over on this left-hand side here, we see a bunch of these things that kind of look like folders. And clicking into them will actually reveal that they are indeed folders. So a really important thing that's built into the core of Doors Next is the ability for things to be organized according to their importance. So you have kind of this whole hierarchy that you can establish where you can have these folders set within folders. You move things around really kind of however you want to. And there's a few ways that you can make these folders. But what I like to do is I like to find the folder that I want to be my main folder, and I want to have something nested underneath it. So you can either mouse on it or click over it, and you'll see this button that appears on the right hand side. Clicking on that will reveal you a drop down menu that gives you a couple options here. The first off being create a folder, and you can also create an artifact directly from this too. You can copy it from a project, or you can assign ownership, but we're just going to click on create folder. And now it's going to ask for the name, so I can put an example. And since I created this folder underneath the main one, it lives underneath the main one. Say I go into this portfolio artifacts folder, I do the same thing, and I can do example 2, hit enter, and now it's kind of moved it underneath this portfolio artifacts folder. Clicking on the plus and the minuses will kind of expand and then kind of contrast these folders right here. But say example 2 wasn't supposed to end up in there. Well, I can either click and drag and kind of move it around, so now it's underneath example. So it's exactly how you rearrange things on, say, Finder or libraries. You can do so right here. Clicking on this page menu button, again, after clicking on a folder, you do have a little bit more options this time. You can share a link to the folder, rename it, move it, or delete it. So instead of dragging it around, if you click on move folder, you can select where you want to create a folder from. A pretty cool tip here is that you can also directly create folders from this window by mousing over one and going over this button over here. You have the option to create, delete, and also rename. So I'm going to leave that as is for now. Now, let's go and take a look at creating a couple artifacts. Now, if I click on Create, I can select one of these from the list, or clicking on Other will pop this other menu here, where I can select the artifact type underneath artifact type. And then again, if you want custom ones, check out a different video on this channel here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select one of these here, and I'm going to say System Requirement. And the initial example is just going to be example of system requirement. And we're just going to leave this as text, template. It doesn't have a template. And we can select what folder that we want to live in underneath browse. So maybe I want to live in example 2 instead of example 1. And if we have anything that we want to tag it as, so that we can kind of keep things all together and all the same, you can do so right here. And if you want to create a new tag, you can click on new tag right there. And I'll just click on OK. Now we can see that, hey, this artifact has been created and it's automatically taken us into the artifact. So I'll just click on Done here, and let me just back up for a second. What we just did is we just created a system requirement artifact. Now, let's create another artifact, and I'll show you some cool things that we can do with them. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to click on Other, and I'm just going to put in example 2. And instead of system requirement, I maybe want this to be a user requirement. Artifact format, I'm going to leave as text. Template none. Folder, yeah, that's a good enough folder. And I will click on OK. If you don't want the artifact to automatically open, you can uncheck Open Artifact right down here on the left-hand side. So I'll just click on OK, and now it's taken right into the artifact. What I want to call out here is this text editor up top. Is that it's like a full text editor, so I can rearrange font size, I can insert images, tables, I can add links, and we'll get into what links are in just a second here. But I can go over here, I can bold, italic, underline, strike through, around the alignment. You have a whole lot of options with this. But one thing when you're done is to make sure you hit save and then done and then back out. So we just created our second artifact. Now in this project, we have two things associated with it, and these are both artifacts. If we need to re-edit an artifact, all you need to do is simply click on it, and you can be taken directly to it. Then go over to this button on the right-hand side and click on Edit. Taking a look at this bar on this side here, there's a lot of important things that are kind of buried over here. And the first of all is adding comments to artifacts. Now, clicking on this button that says Create Comment for Artifact, we can add in a whole bunch of information. So I'll just do example comment, and we will just put in some sample content. And then down here, we can say who that we're going to direct it to. So if I go over to select users, an important thing to know is that if you throw in an asterisk in the search field, it will display all the available results. And I'll just add myself to this, and then we can select the priority of low, medium, or high. But before we go any further here, I'm going to go up to Insert and click on Add Link. Now, this is a super important thing in DOORS Next Generation, is the ability to link content. And, well, I'm actually going to add something that is not this artifact that we are currently inside of. So that's going to be example 2. And I'll click on OK. Linking. That should be in everything that you're doing, is having that in the back of your mind of saying, hey, okay, so I got this here. What's it connected up to? Because if you're going to use a purpose-built tool, you might as well build it out the best way possible. And that honestly is connecting everything up to everything else. And you'll see that in just a little bit here about a couple of the key benefits with that. The ability to add these things that are called links, it's really big, because what you can do is you can click on it, and all I had to do is click on that, and I'm taken directly to it. So kind of backing out here, going back into example of system requirement, that is just a link instead of a comment. What we can do is we can actually add links itself, so we can link two artifacts together. And that is when I come over to this button on the side here. Kind of looks like a link with a plus and minus symbol inside of it, and you can click on that, and if you click on more, you get a whole bunch of different options that you can do, which there's a whole bunch of different ways to link things. This is just one of many. So to actually link something, I will click on example 2, and then I need to say what link type it is. So I'm going to hop down to satisfies, and we'll say that this artifact right here satisfies this artifact. Some other stuff to note is that if you click off the web here, you can paste a hyperlink, but I'm going to go right back to the project. You can change all the link types right up top here, and you can also search in folders or modules for some stuff. Then again, you may or may not have to use an asterisk if you are not entirely sure what you're searching for. So that will kind of pull up everything here. Now I'll just click on OK, and we can see, hey, that this link, this satisfies this. Now let's go check out this other artifact, and all I need to do that is just click on it itself, and I'm taken directly to it. And now I can see, hey, that there's a satisfied by automatically created on this end, and clicking on this, we can see, hey, that this satisfies this, and this is satisfied by that. Clicking on this back arrow, we can kind of go back here. Now, we just learned how to create and edit artifacts, and also do a little bit of linking for them. Let's take a look at uploading a document like a Word document and actually pulling out requirements from it. So here is a sample document right here. Now, a couple things to note is that you can upload images, tables, text, but the key thing is having the proper formatting inside of the document itself. So this is a sample statement of work, and one thing that I would like to just note out here is make sure headers are actually headers, and that you have more so of the logic correct with the bullets or whatnot. It can be a little bit of playing around with, but there are some workarounds that I can share, and we will cover that in a little bit. So to actually upload this document, there's two kind of ways. One way is you can upload the document itself and have it be displayed as an artifact itself, or you can upload and parse through the document and pull out things from it. So the first way that I'll show you is just clicking on create. You can click on upload artifact, and we can browse and select the file. So I'll just click on browse right here. And just to give you an example of some stuff that we can do, I will go over to my downloads and search for the statement of work. Click on OK, open, and it will automatically select the proper file type, but just clicking on this drop down menu here, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. If you want to add more than one file at once, just click on add another file right here. You can rename the document. You can say, hey, what type of artifact that this is. You can also browse the location of the folder, and you can add tags, but I'm just gonna click on OK. And now clicking on this, it has uploaded the document, and we can kind of scroll through this document right here, which you can also upload Excel files, PDFs. There's a whole bunch of types of documents that you can upload. Now, taking a look at this on the right hand side, we can add comments, we can connect it up to stuff with links, and you can also see where it has been used. Another cool thing is that we can extract requirements directly from this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it a little bit of a different way. It will be the exact same way that I will be showing you. Like the menu is going to be the same, but it's just a little bit of a different button clicking. So I'm going to hop back over to this create menu here, and this time we're going to click on import artifact. And these are all the types of documents that you can import and parse requirements out of. So I'm going to click on the first option on the list here, that is import requirements from within a text document, and I'll click on next right here. Click on add files, and I will navigate over to where the file is, click on statement of work, click open. A couple key things about this menu here is that you can select where you want to live, and right now I'm going to put it inside this example 2 folder, but then it asks us if we want to create a module for the new requirements. And yes, I want to create a module. And what a module is that it's like just another name for like a Word document, but I like to consider it so much more than that. Modules, they are similar to, say, like a folder that you have certain things in there that you know what's in there, so you can have organization, stuff along those lines. But typically when I am creating artifacts in Doors Next, I always like things to be inside of a module. It's much easier to organize, and you do have some other pretty nifty capabilities with that. We are going to import all this stuff inside of this document and throw it inside of a module, and the name for that is going to be example module. If you want to use the name of the document, just check off source name right here. And the artifact type, since we already selected yes, it pre-selected module. So I'll just click next at the bottom here. And from this menu, we want to say, hey, that all the headings that were set as headings inside the work document, we want those to be headings as well. And for any images in here, I'm going to click on that drop-down menu, and we're going to click on more. And finally, we're going to find freeform diagram. But say you want to have an image classified as something else, maybe as a requirement, a scenario act, or even something custom, you can do so right here. So I'm going to click on freeform diagram. And now keywords. What keywords are is that it will look through the document and it will find, hey, you said this word here, we're automatically going to create a requirement off of it or some kind of artifact off of it based upon what you said. So I'm going to look for the word shall, and I'm going to say that that is going to be a non-functional requirement. Then maybe I'll do will and say, hey, okay, so will is going to be a user requirement, and then maybe must will be something else. Maybe that will be a safe strategic theme. Then again, some other stuff with keywords is that you can either select just to look for a sentence with the word in it, or you can take the entire paragraph. Text delimiters are pretty cool things, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain to format Word documents, but what you can essentially do is say anything between, say, that bracket right here and this bracket is going to be classified as something. So I can say maybe, hey, this to this, that is going to be a functional requirement. And sometimes I like to have my images together, or I want my table and an image together when it automatically imports. So I'll just throw a bracket at the end of something, throw a bracket at the beginning of it, come over to here, click on add delimiter, and then say, okay, bracket goes there, and maybe I want that to be a supporting resource. But in the example today, I don't really need any of this, so now all I need to do is mouse over it and click on remove. All the other text that doesn't come back as anything, I'm just going to click on the drop down arrow, go down to more, and we are just going to leave this as a supporting resource. Finally, we'll click on next right here, and it will work through to kind of parse the document and extract things, and it's going to show you the screen here. And you may think, hey, I'm all done since it found everything, but just make sure you click finish on this, because then it's going to pass through the document once again and import it this time. So our window right here has refreshed, and mousing over this blue link right here that says example module, we can see our rich hover has appeared, and there is a bit more information. Clicking on that will bring us into the module itself, and now this looks pretty similar to the Word document. But the key thing is that it's all living inside of Doors Next, and we can edit stuff directly from here. Now, to edit, there's a few different ways. You can either click on one of these lines here and kind of double click into it, or if you mouse over it, you can go over to the pen button on the right hand side. Pointing out a few more things is that we have our right hand pane over here that allows you to add comments, add links, and you can also see where it has been used in. And we can see, hey, this artifact right here has been used in this example module, and to get there, we can just click and automatically be taken there. If we want to upload some more stuff to this document, all we need to do is go over to this big blue button in the top left hand corner, click on create, and we can either upload existing artifacts. So clicking on that will allow us to insert artifacts from other areas inside the project itself. And you may have to select some of these settings up top here. So right now we're searching inside of folders, but you can also search inside of other modules if we had them created. And one thing that you may or may not need to do is throw in an asterisk right there. So you can also click through kind of folders on the side here to find exactly what you're looking for. And then you have three options down below to either close, add and close, or add. If you're doing kind of one at a time from, say, different place, and you're going to click somewhere else and click a bunch of different times to find the other one, I recommend doing add, but if you just want to click on one or shift click and add a few, click on add and close, and it will automatically take you out of this window here. Now that we have all this content in here, when we were kind of going through the prior screen and we were looking for shall, must, and will, we classified each of those as a different type or a different thing. And how stuff has kind of, I would say, quantifiers, it has underlying properties. And the way that you're able to display that is through something called views. And I'll show you that in just a second here. But what we need to do is we need to be able to display all these hidden properties about each of these different rows here. And the way to do that is going up to this top left-hand corner button that when you mouse over it, it says Configure Page Settings. Clicking on that will reveal a drop-down menu that these are pretty much the common ones that are typically used out of the box to display. But I'm just going to hop down here to More tab, and now we can actually search for exactly what we want. So I want to see what artifact type is. So all I need to do is I'll click on that and I'll click on Add. And if you want to adjust the width of the columns, you can do so right here. If you want to move it up or down in the way, you can do so as well. But I don't like to adjust the column in this view. It's a little bit difficult. What we can also do is we can add a few more things. And scrolling through this list, I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for, but I know what it is. If I just type in this filter box up here, I can say, hey, yeah, let's add satisfied by, and let's add satisfies, so we can add some more links here. And I'm just going to click on OK. From that menu as well, that is how you can also select on custom attributes that you create. And to do that, I do have a tutorial up on the channel, but that is going to be on the cog icon and clicking on Manage Project Properties. Now we can see that we have all of these columns that we just added. An easier way to resize columns is by mousing up on this top bar here and clicking this drag icon. Now that we have the window how we want it to look, we need to save this as a view. And that's going to be over in this left bar right over here. To save a view, all you need to do is click on this button that says Save as a New View on the left-hand side. Clicking on that will reveal a pop-up menu here, so I can put in example view, and we can select the type of it if we want it to be a personal view, so only for ourselves, or if we want to share it with the team. And we can see, hey, that this view is only going to exist in this module, or all modules of this certain module type, or you can do all modules itself. You can also select who can see this view, and I'm just going to leave that as everyone. But I want it to be a preferred view because I like to see it every time. And it is a great habit to get in filling out all these boxes here. So you can add a description. So if anyone comes in the future and wants to know, hey, why was this view customized the way it was, they can just check out the description and have the full picture. Clicking on OK here will now show us our view. To get out of this view, all you need to do is click on it and we will be taken to the default view or a different view if there was one here. But I'll just click back into example view. Now that we have the view all set, let's go back to doing one of the most important things within Doors Next, and that is adding links. So scrolling down here, we can see, hey, we have all these different types of supporting resources. We got a strategic theme, but what is the strategic theme actually satisfied by? To add a link, there's a few different ways you can do it. First way, I can click on it, and I can use this button over here on the right-hand side that says Add Link to Artifacts. Another way is clicking on it. We can click on this button right here, and a pop-up menu will appear, and then we can click on Add Link to Artifact. Another way is clicking on it. If you have the right column set by going up top here and actually selecting off the categories, we can mouse over one of the boxes. Well, you'll see a little pencil icon appear. You can click on that and then click on Add Link. From this pop-up menu here, it is the exact same as the other ones where we have to add links. And just to call out a few things again, if you want to change the type of link, you can go up to this button right here up at the top. This is link type. Clicking on more, you then can select what link type you want it to be. You can see what artifact this is from. You can see the project, and you can also specify where you want to look in. So I'm just going to link this up to example 2. And now clicking on this, I'll be directly taken into example 2. And I can see, hey, it's been illustrated by this, and it's also been satisfied by that, which I can click on those and be taken directly to it. You can now see that there is something populated for where used, and this is showing the example module where it has been used, and clicking on that will take you directly into the module. A really critical thing to Doors Next is the ability for everything to be recorded. That is because each of these artifacts, each of these things here, it really is its own atomic element. And what I mean by that is that looking at this ID column here, everything that's created will have one of these IDs associated with it. Which, if we pop up to this top right hand corner where this menu looks like a little bit of like a hamburger menu, when you mouse over it, it says more actions. Clicking on that will reveal this drop down menu where you have a few different things, but what we want to go check out is clicking on Open History. Here we can see revisions that were made, but if I pop over to Audit History, it'll take just a second for this to load. Go underneath Expand All, we can see everything that was done, changed, and modified. Which, going back over to this hamburger menu, you can export this as a report, say like a PDF or Word document. You can also share a link to this. But I'm just going to click on Close right here, and now we're taken right back into the module itself. Now let's check out some filtering. We have a whole bunch of stuff here that's got everything all grouped together, but to actually kind of separate it out and have a much better idea of what's going on, we can either filter by text or by this unique ID number if we know exactly what we're looking for. But clicking on this button to the right hand side of this search box that says Add Filter will reveal this little pop-up window here. So what I want to do is I want to search by artifact type. So I can either search up top here, or I can scroll through the menu down below. And then clicking on artifact type will reveal a whole bunch of other options here. Now, these options will change based upon what attribute that you selected, which an attribute, that is just the property for the artifact itself. So I only want to see user requirements. So I'll just come down here and I'll click on Add and Close. And you can create some pretty complex filters that you can add a lot of different stuff to. Now, this view, I'm pretty happy with it, and I like to be able to come back to it. So if I want to overwrite my current view, I can click on the Save button right here. But I actually want to create a new view, so I'm just going to call this User Requirement. And then again, we can do either personal or shared, and I'm just going to leave this personal for now and say that, yeah, it's just for this module. So the way to tell something different from personal or shared is that personal will be green and shared will be blue over on this side for views. To get to the other view, all you need to do is click on it. And to get back to user requirement, all you need to do is click on that, which this automatically has the filter applied. To get rid of the filter, all you need to do mouse over it is click on the minus right here. But if I want to edit it, I can just click on that pen icon right there. Now that you've seen a super brief overview of modules, let's go back here and take a look at one of the third things that's called a collection. And really what a collection is that it is just a group of artifacts, modules, whatever you want to put together and group together, you can do so. Which, to make one, I'll just click on Create, and I can click on Collection. I'll just put an example collection, and we can see, hey, it's a group of related artifacts. I'm going to leave a no template. I'm just going to have it appear inside the example 2 folder. I'll just click on OK here, and now clicking into this collection, we can then go up to Add, and we can add existing artifacts, or we can create them directly ourselves. So if I go underneath Existing, I can group a few things together. So I'll just click on Add and Close, and make sure I click on Done right up top here. We can see that, hey, these two are inside of our collections, but if I click one, I will be directly taken to it. So going back to the collection, clicking on Example, we can see that those two are right here. Now, whenever I lose myself in Doors Next Generation, a good way to reset is coming up top here, clicking on Artifacts, and then going underneath All. This will kind of reset you and get you back to where you need to go. And say you can't find something, well, it's going to be underneath one of these 3 tabs here, and you're probably just not underneath the right tab. So head over to Artifacts, click on All, try clicking on Modules, and then click on Collections, and then you'll be able to find it. You can also use this Search Artifacts window over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And clicking on this will reveal the drop-down menu from what project that you want to search for an artifact in. 2 more quick things to take a look at in Doors Next, which we're not going to go inside of a deep overview inside this tutorial, is reviews. And reviews are a way for you to bundle a bunch of artifacts, requirements all together and say, hey, these need to be approved of by who? And if I click on create here, I can put an example review, click on OK, and we'll be directly taken into creating a review. We can add people to actually review it itself. And one thing to note again is if I go back into people, if you put in the asterisk here, this will show all the available people that can be added. Then we need to go down to add artifacts right here, and you can select what artifacts need to be added to be approved. So I'll just say all 3 of these, and then we can start the review. But reviews are a little bit deeper, and that will be covered in a separate tutorial. Last thing that we're going to check out here is this reports tab at the top of this. It's really critical to be able to make and kind of export reports, and you can do so with a bunch of base reports. Is coming to this report tab and clicking on generate report. You can kind of select a few different ones to take a look at. Thank you all for watching my beginner tutorial for doors next generation. I have a lot of other tutorials on this channel that dive a bit deeper into doors next. This video is also part of a series that dives into longer format tutorial for doors next generation. If you ever have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn at brett.scharmett, and you can find my email down in the description below. That is brett.scharmett at ibm.com. I'd like to thank you all for your time today, and hope you have a great rest of your day.